again. We know this is what we're meant to do. So we wake up, put our feet on the floor, go and conquer the day like a warrior, like warriors. Cause that's what a tribe does. We got your back so you can relax and focus on all the important stuff, like getting your business done. This is our tribe. We look out for each other. That's right, that's right. This is our tribe. We help each other grow in business and life. That's right, that's right. No need to panic anymore. We got lots of support and an army of warriors by our side. We fight the good fight when we unite. We fight the good fight when we unite. Cause that's what a tribe does. We got your back so you can relax and focus on all the important stuff, like getting your business done. This is our tribe. We look out for each other. That's right, that's right. This is our tribe. We help each other grow in.
Good evening, everybody, or good afternoon, wherever you are around the world, or good morning. Welcome to this week's Coffee Shop Conversation Show. Thank you for joining us. And this evening, we are going to be getting into quite an interesting topic, a bit of a possibly controversial one, I would imagine, depending on what subjects come up, about ethics in business and what we do, or what we should perhaps be taking into consideration when we're building our businesses and what we do with our daily working lives. I'm joined as always by Sondra Ray, my co-host. Hi Sondra, thanks very much for helping me do this once again, and welcome to our guests from all around the world. And yeah, this is going to be an interesting topic, actually, as it raises all sorts of questions, really, about what sort of practices one can or should do when you're working and how you're conducting your businesses. Is it something that is to the forefront of people's minds, or is it something that basically it's like, well, you try and do the right thing because you try and be a good person and hope that everything stems from there? Is it something that really is a big part of most people's business journeys? Let's find out. Who wants to start? Anyone want to kick us off on this one? Stephen Levy.
Yeah, thanks, James.
Evening,
good evening to you and to everybody on the show. But I found your topic interesting and very relevant. So I'm just going to lower my hand. But yeah, and something you mentioned now is, the ethics when we're doing business. What is ethics about when you're doing business? And I think probably everybody has a different interpretation of it, but there was something that I wanted to just, if you don't mind, put in the chat. But it's ethics, the definition of it, it's not my definition, I looked it up, is the moral principles that govern a person's behavior or the conducting of an activity. So I want to expand on that a bit. This is where the values of your business really come in to be tested. They test what you value in your business will be how ethically you show up. And that's why I loved your topic, because it's the power of values. If something is really meaningful to me in my business, I get tested when I have to do business unethically or ethically. And it might be when we're starting up our businesses, when we need to generate revenue. And are you prepared to cross over that borderline just to generate the revenue because your business has to survive, or do you stand by the values of your business? And yeah, I think that's extremely important. So I think those your values guide your behaviors. And as I put in the chat box, is your ethics or moral principles that governs a person's behavior. So I would say they're one of the same thing. And we need to question ourselves and keep preferring, because I think a lot of us do, well, I can't speak for a lot of us, but I think, yeah, as a human, do you operate outside of what's meaningful and what you value in your business? The answer is yes, because we're human. But we need to question ourselves when we do and correct ourselves when we do. And yeah, so that's what I'm going to say about ethics in business. And sometimes we we'll let money override that.
I love that. I love that, Mr. Levy. I think, yeah, like let's start with that. What is your definition of ethics in business? Because I don't think 100% everybody's is the exact same. I think everybody has their own little spin, twist, however you want to, and not in a bad way, but like everybody has their version of what ethics in business is. I know for me, I was apologizing last week for being in Grammy mode versus business mode. And I'm like, I have a right to take time off and Like, I don't have to apologize for this, but I'm so used to like automatically answering everybody right there. Then, even though it says in my contracts that I have 24 hours to answer, I just automatically it's like apologizing. I'm like, I don't need to apologize. Like I'm within my time frame. It's not a big deal. But yeah, it's definitely amazing conversation. I think it's going to be an amazing show, of course. Thank you for kicking it off, Mr. Levy. Hendrix, good evening, sir.
It's a very good evening to you, and let me just put my hand at the same time. So I've also been reading up a little bit about business ethics because, yeah, as a new entrepreneur, it's something I've not really considered, actually, apart from doing my best to be as ethically as possible in the way I deal with my clients. But I read a little bit about it, and it says business ethics ensure that a certain level of basic trust exists between consumers and people in business. And I think that's quite an important point to note, that it's really all about trust, isn't it? And I also read that the whole thing of business ethics only really started in the 60s. It's a relatively new concept. And it became because people became more socially aware, and they wanted to keep companies responsible. So that's how that came to be famous. And apparently there are 12 business ethic principles that one should adhere to. And maybe I'll just quickly post this in the chat for us, this article, because I think it's got some really interesting ideas and principles and why they are important. And I always like to read up more, so something I'll definitely read up more about. But let me put this into the chat quickly. Hendrik, from Baird Media, we help people to make podcasts.
You coming back to us, Hendrik, or are you just posted something in there?
I beg your pardon?
Are you coming back to us, Hendrik, or you said you went on mute there?
I'm gonna leave it there and post.
Oh, right. Yep. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much. We're going to have some definitions come up. We'll work around those. Lesetja, good evening, sir. What are your thoughts on this?
Good evening to you. Good evening to everyone. For me, I just want to put it simply as business ethics, or behaving ethically in business is where you don't want to rob people. You may be robbing your client, you may be robbing your fellow business person, you may be robbing your government. Instead of paying tax, you're hiding your taxes away. I mean, that's not ethical. When you stealing clients away from your competitor, that's unethical as well. So for me, business ethics are just doing the right things right. Thank you. This is Lesetja Mokou, your business development agent.
Love that. Love that. Yes, stealing definitely is not ethical, and that includes avoiding and not doing your taxes correctly. Yeah, I have a client that we're catching up on the tax thing. That is definitely something she was struggling with. So I hooked her up with an amazing bookkeeper from Explore ProTech, and we are getting it all sorted out. Thank you, Susan. Because yeah, it was beyond my expertise. And I was like, let's get the professionals. That's why we have the amazing Explore ProTech. We have all these amazing professionals that have their expertise. Bookkeeping is not mine. So, Janine, what is your take on this?
This is such a deep conversation, actually. And for me, my values and goals, it's like the fabric of my business ethics. And I believe that conducting business within your own integrity, using empathy and some sort of commitment in a very positive impact, that is ethics on a different level. That really is, it really is. And I think Hendrik mentioned honesty. People, if you can't be transparent and honest with yourself, how on earth are you going to be transparent and honest towards your clients? That is a big core value to emphasize the attractions you bring towards your business as well. And ethics, it can be pulled to so many ways, and it's so diverse that you can talk about lifelong learning, you can talk about innovation, you can actually talk about community engagement, and it comes back to two things: your values and your goals. I'm Janine from Jelani Sales, your virtual sales office. I unlock your full sales potential with a personalized guidance through my sales mentorship program.
Thank you, Janine. I think it's interesting that you mentioned transparency. That's one of the ways I think that we can basically, show everyone where we're coming from and that what we're doing is honest, that you're being, especially when it comes to, I was trying to think of how I apply it to my business and the voiceover business. Voiceover charging, the way usage particularly is charged in voiceover, is quite complicated. It depends on where it's going out. For instance, on television, it might be going out on radio, it might be going out on various different parts of the internet. It might be for a paid campaign, it might be for an organic campaign. All of these things are charged differently. And of course, explaining these things to a potential customer can be different, and you could be pulling figures out of the air, which is why I try and we have the largest voiceover organization in the UK, which is called Gravy for the Brain. They have a rate guide, so every time I'm charging a customer for my services, I direct them to Gravy for the Brain so they can see exactly what levels of pricing they're getting and why certain things cost what they cost. So that is a way that I can be transparent with my customers, which hopefully makes them think, I trust this guy because this is where he's getting his from the industry standards. And I find that helps. And it also, it's a way that one can, explain why we charge what we charge. And that helps, with conversations with, why am I being charged X for this? So I find that's very helpful. Peter, hello, sir.
Hello. I actually really love this topic. I think Mr. Levy and Sommerville will know exactly what I'm talking about when I go in the direction that I'm going to go in. But as we took the 30-odd students through the journey on the Mancosa Ignite program, which will shortly be popping up on this YouTube channel, the very core and the very foundation of what they started there, building the business blocks and putting everything together, and the core of what they built was based on their own values and ethics. So I think the very core foundation of what startup entrepreneurs, I think everyone seems to underestimate the power of understanding who you are and your business. I mean, you are your business as an entrepreneur. So your values, your ethics play a huge role that impact every single step you make. It impacts how you build your business model. It impacts how you interact with your clients. It impacts absolutely everything. So I think that people that have built and looked back at the values and the ethics and thought, oh, we'll deal with that later, sometimes often have to tear things down, go all the way back to the beginning, and start from that point that actually creates the entire foundation of what you're building in the first place and why you're building it. So I think that there are a lot of entrepreneurs out there, some of them successful, but not very respected for how they do business. So it depends on what kind of entrepreneur you want to be. What kind of business do you want to run? Are you involved in the community? Why are you doing what you're doing? If you can't say why, then go back to the drawing board. Start with your personal goals. Who are you? Who do you want to be? What are your values? Why do you exercise and practice ethics? If you can't answer those questions, go back to the drawing board, because answering those questions will really establish your foundation for building something really solid. So love the topic. I think it's absolutely incredible. And by the way, those 30 students are graduating on the 26th. So they're all smiling and everything is fun and games. Absolutely love it. Peter, Explore ProTech, over and out.
Love that, Peter. And I can't wait because they will be able to be part of the coffee chat show starting next week. So definitely love and can't wait to welcome them into the fold and to our amazing group and getting a different perspective from the, okay, I'm not going to age anybody, the younger generation. Okay, let's just put it that way. I have adult children, yeah, it's okay. I love that. Mr. Levy, come on in.
Yeah, thanks, Sondra. It's fascinating, and I love all the input from everybody, and it made me think. And everyone was to Hendrik, Janine, Lesetja, Pete were chatting, and made me think. Ethical business practice comes to the values, and there's a word I want to bring in here. It's called interpretation. So we can both value honesty. What is our interpretation of it? It might be different between all of us sitting here. So I think when a business, I guess, selects the values or what is meaningful for them, or define what is meaningful to them, they also need to give an interpretation of what does honesty mean to them? What does transparency mean to them? How transparent are we? And then that helps us to do business with people who share the same values. And if they're people that have a completely different interpretation of, for example, of transparency, then maybe we're not going to do business together. If it's way out of line of how I interpret transparency, or what it means to me, or how I value it. And the other thing that came up for me is I think Lesetja mentioned about paying taxes. So there is the law of the land that we have to adhere to. We don't have a choice. Well, we do have a choice, I suppose, but we should adhere. There's the law of the land that's it. It's laid down by law. So there's, as Lesetja was talking, what came up for me is there's tax evasion and there's tax avoidance. The one is ethical, the other one's not. And where do you draw the line? So the people that are very smart, they understand the tax law and they avoid tax but it's not illegal. But when they evade tax, that's illegal. So again, it comes down to how do they understand and interpret that law? And if they're behaving within the law, then I suppose they're ethical. But for me, it might not be. But they might just understand it better than I do. So it's that interpretation of the law, which comes back to what everybody's spoken about and referred to as the power of values. And Pete, you know that I love that too. Your own values, the company's values, they're so powerful, and yet it's funny how they're referred to often, that I experience in business, by leadership as fluffy. And I just don't understand why. But yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? It's I was just thinking, I was wondering, people have got their hands up, so I won't dive in, but have people ethics ever, I wondered if it had been shaped or by, for instance, encountering unethical behavior in business, for instance. Have people had experiences where they felt, well, this, I've run it, this isn't right, what's happening to me here? And how they've dealt with that, and what sort of things that might, you don't have to name names or anything, but I'd be interested to see, have people thought, cripes, well, I never want that to happen to either to a customer of mine, and that perhaps has shaped people's ideas on it. Feel free not to answer that, Hendrik, because I know you chimed in for something else. We'll go to you, but there we are.
So you want examples? I'll give you an example of somebody I thought really was unethical. I have to be very careful how I talk about this, but let me say that the person that I worked for came across as incredibly loving, supportive, and grateful, forever gushing at how wonderful I am, and how, all these things. And I worked there probably about 1.5 years, and I gradually found out, one, nobody has a contract. So, the labor law in this country says you need to have a contract, and if you don't, then the labor law protects you because it has all those provisions in there. And they would take advantage of the fact that they did not have signed contracts either with me or with any of their staff. And for instance, having an open door policy. But when that door was open and you walked into a disciplinary hearing and probably a termination of service, which many people in that staff went through, including myself. It was things like a saying which was flaunted: if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander, which means everybody gets treated alike, which was wonderful, except the people who managed and owned this place, it was not, it was accepting them. Of course, good for the gander, but not them. It was when you were in the middle of COVID, everybody had to wear masks, except the bosses, because it didn't apply to them. And that I found extremely unethical, and the way that they treat people, and also paying themselves a good salary, paying all their holidays out of the company, paying all their personal food for the house from the company, buying a huge amounts of gifts for themselves for birthdays, valued at tens of thousands of rands, using the company, and not declaring that as part of their income to be taxed upon that, which is the way that these things should work. So sorry to say, I eventually said no, because then what happened was I was told, no, my hours are just going to get less and I'm going to get paid less. There's nothing I can do about it. And because I didn't have a contract, I didn't have a leg to stand on. And of course, I know the labor law. I've been to the labor court. I've been to CCMA procedures. I know this backwards. And I stood up to them and I said no, and walked away from that. I just couldn't, my conscience couldn't allow me to see how other people were being taken advantage of. Never mind. So that's my little horror story.
Yes, Hendrix. And once you, once you've peeked behind the curtain, you can't, you don't unsee it. So I had a very similar where internationally known person, and I was like, yeah, everybody's like, why do you have less respect for that company now? And I'm like, I've been on the inside, and guess what? No longer on the inside, and eventually I parted ways completely. But yeah, treat people this. Yes, you can treat people the same, but you can also, what's good for you needs to be good for them, and vice versa. Contracts. I've been burnt without contracts. I have contracts for everything, including barters, giveaways, the whole works, and people get frustrated with me. And I'm like, yeah, well, I've been out thousands and thousands of dollars. So sign, don't sign, take the free, even if it's a free gift, you still have to sign the contract, because I need to know what I'm providing for you, and vice versa. Yeah, I'm very big on contracts. It's not that I don't trust you or you trust me. It's just that is the right way to do business, in my opinion. So, Mr. Lesetja.
Getting close and close and close, Sondra. Thank you. Anyway, I'm going to start with an example of an unethical behavior from an employer where at some stage I wasn't working. We had been retrenched. So when you have a family to feed, anything that comes, you just accept. So this guy came and said, well, I want you to open up a store for me for protective clothing. This is how much I'll pay you. We agreed. And each time I asked him for a contract, he paid me half. Second month, didn't pay me. Third month, didn't pay me. Luckily for me, he gave me a laptop, which I'm using presently, and a cell phone. So I just left and I said, well, if you need your stuff, you need to give me my money that you owe me. That's it. And then we parted ways. 6, 7, 8 years later, he hasn't contacted me yet. So I'm good. Anyway, Mr. Levy, you brought a good point about interpretation of ethics. But then you mentioned a word, and I think you mentioned it briefly, whether that interpretation has got a meaning to you, to your life. Does it affect you? Does it affect your heart? Does it affect your mind when you're thinking or when you are interpreting all those ethics? And for me, it has to speak to you. You've got to know and understand exactly what you are saying when you are reading and interpreting the whole ethics business. I think it's got to have a bigger meaning to you. And I think just lastly, Mr. Brown, I think experience can teach you ethics, whether good or bad, but I think experience can bring with it ethics, some ethical or ethics teachings. This guy that cheated me of my money, I had to take his stuff, so it was, well, I have to do something for me to also get back at the person. So I think it's a roundabout thing. So, but yeah, experience can teach you. Thank you.
Thanks to the teacher. Very cheating stories. It reminded me of one that I had about 20 years ago, where I fresh out of university and I was working for a startup, or what was then really quite unusual, a company that was making websites for businesses when people just didn't have them. And unfortunately, the idea was good, but the management of that company was very, very bad. And they asked some of us they asked the whole staff actually to invest into the business. And being rather young and naive, thinking this is a great opportunity, I stuck my hand in my pocket for basically about half of the savings that I had when I was there, and that wasn't much. Gave that over, and then promptly, literally about 4 days later, the receivers came in. And lesson learned on that. But basically, we all got royally shafted, and there was about 10 of us. And unfortunately, we did that because we trusted the boss. And that was very much a sort of, make sure that you do your due diligence. So that was probably a good lesson to learn at 20 or 21, rather than could have been probably, I suppose, for a lot more money later. But it was still very disappointing to have people act like that for you. There we are. So I do understand what that could feel like. I just wish I'd nicked a laptop now. That would have been great. Could have had that back. Peter.
Yeah, I think I'd like to put a positive spin on the power of values and ethics. If I look at our own space, and when I say our own space, I mean our space, because we are all Explore ProTech, even though we are our own businesses. And I think creating a space where people can network together and creating a space where the people in the network actually do work together and actually do build together. It was very important that the people coming into the network would exercise their values and be of similar mindset in regards to their ethics, because it's the only way we can create a space where people can actually work together, because they have the same values and they exercise the same ethics. And I think it's much the same when you build a team. You know, if you're not looking at their values and their ethics, building a team becomes almost impossible, because people have different beliefs and they believe different things, and certain people believe this is ethical and other people believe that is not. And, you know, good luck putting that team together and having them actually function. So the power of Explore ProTech only came about, and the power of us being able to step into huge spaces and do really big projects and pull it all together, the only reason that ever happened was purely based on values and ethics. It's really simple, and at the same time, it's really powerful. So I think if you're starting something and it's small, do not underestimate the power of that space, because you will be doing yourself a disservice. Understand its true value, understand exactly what its purpose is, and if you don't understand, take the time to find out, because it is extremely powerful. If I look at our space now, show me one project on the face of the planet that we could not step into as Explore ProTech with all of its members and achieve. We can go anywhere. We can do anything. We have all the skills. We have all the right people. We can tackle pretty much any task. And all the members of this space line up. And sometimes not even does it, when it lines up with their personal goals, and you've got more than 3, 4, 5 people in a space, but it lines up with their personal goals, they drive a project so hard that success is pretty much imminent. So it is really powerful. So pull that close to your chest and keep it tight, and see what happens.
I love that, Peter. I love that, Peter. Yeah, community means so much to me, and that is how I honestly shaped my business ethics and so on and so forth, because I learned from community. So yes, I had a mentor, but I didn't 100% agree with everything she was doing. So when I got into different spaces and different communities and could see that it was done in a more ethical way that matched my style, my personality, my ethics, then I was able to pivot to that. Miss Janine, are you wanting to do you guys a segment, or you want to answer? Which one do you want to do?
First, want to have a conversation here about what Peter said, because, you know, talking about our space, Explore ProTech on its own. I mean, having ethics in an online world it's a different level. I mean, we don't see each other face to face as much as we want to, of course. And that brings back to really contributing to the community. And that to me is Explore ProTech. Having the community, sharing insights and participating in discussions like we are today, supporting each other's, contributing to our growth, being cheerleaders on the side where we've never met each other, not all of us, face to face, but yet we're here to support, grow, guide. Whatever it is that you need to go to the next level, the tribe is there for you. And that's just what I'm saying in terms of having an online community. This is it. If you can't contribute and your ethics is not somewhere there, this is not the space for you. This is not the space for you. If you can contribute and your ethics are in line with this, bring it on. We will welcome you with open arms. I'm Janine from Jelani Sales, your online mentor.
Thank you, Janine. I was just wondering if we're going straight back to you now, I think, aren't we? 20 to the hour. We got the F-Biz show in the house.
I see a hand up, Mr. Levy.
We can go to Stephen first if you'd like.
No, you can go. If you got the F-Biz show, go for it. I'm sorry, I didn't know that you.
That's all right.
On. That's
I'm
cool.
I'm trying to hit the timing a bit better this week.
Absolutely, we can go into that. So awesome to be here. Thank you so much, James and Sondra. And I'm so excited. Why? Because my co-host is with me today. So awesome to have Sommerville with me. Sommerville, hey.
Hey, I'm here. Yay, welcome. I'm so sorry.
Just the two of us. No, it's not just us, but it's so lovely to have you with me. Really, really cool. So for those who don't know, the F-Biz show is all about putting some fun back into business because, as an entrepreneur, we're focusing on so many things and we forget about having some fun. And nothing else makes the world go round like an entrepreneur. So get ready for a small inspiring section where we just want to really, really welcome Lesetja on this show. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, Janine. Hello, Sommerville. Nice to see you again after, I don't know how long, but it's lovely
Yeah,
to see you as
very
well.
long, very long. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so nice to have you with us. So Lesetja, can I ask you to just tell us a little bit about your background and what is your business all about?
Okay, it depends where you want to start, Janine. When I was 4 years old or when I was 38. I'm not telling my age
time.
though.
Let's maybe start at 38.
Not that early.
Okay, all right. I'm a former school teacher, and for those that don't know, I taught Afrikaans at a high school, grades 11 and 12 for 5 years. Don't speak to me in Afrikaans now because I'll not be able to utter a word. I left Afrikaans some 30 odd years ago, so I cannot remember. I can only remember Goeiemorgen. And then I moved into the corporate world where I worked for your international corporates in the food business, FMCG. And then, as I said earlier, I lost my job and then was looking around, and something that came through was radio. I now had to go and sell, from selling a tangible feel, taste, touch kind of a product to selling a concept, selling, do you want to advertise? So this is where I am. This is what I'm doing at the moment, and I'm doing business development as well. So it's a much larger portfolio than just selling. It's a fusion between marketing and sales. That's where I am at the moment. So I started late, Sommerville, not at 4 years old, like 20.
Yeah, but that's good. That's good. So on that note, how do you attract advertisers and sponsors into the radio area? Did I freeze?
It's a very, very difficult thing to do. Am I still here?
Yes.
It says my connection is very unstable, so it's because of you, Sommerville. Look, there are many ways of doing it. There's doing projects, doing community service projects. There's networking events like where I am now. There's taking part in expos and all that, where people get to see you, people get to experience you. You need to build relationships first before people can actually come and advertise. You actually, as I always say, you've got to sell yourself first before people can buy the concept. I mean, I cannot just say to you, come and advertise with us. This is how much you advertise for, and this is what you're going to get, because advertising is a very tricky business. You may find one person advertising and being successful in attracting clients, and the next person not being successful in attracting clients. And then it'll be as if you've been lying to that person. So people have got to trust you. People have got to know you before they can actually say, okay, in whatever way it goes, whether I get clients directly or indirectly, doesn't matter. I will support what you're doing. So people have got to buy you first before anything else.
Yeah, that is absolutely spot on, because no one is youer than you, right? Or something.
I like your English. No one is youer than you.
Yeah, no one is youer than you.
I'm going to type this out in bold, big letters and put it right in front of me in the office. No one is youer than you.
Absolutely. Affirmation helps with the mindset. So you do you, Lesetja, you do you.
Yeah.
So on that note, how do you actually tailor your marketing strategies to effectively reach and engage your radio station target audience? How do you do that?
I was being a very difficult radio station to sell because of it being Christian, and our religious people or Christian people don't really want to advertise, or they don't feel like advertising will get them business. I don't know what the issue is. And then when you go to other businesses that you may find they're Christian, but they want to be aligned to a Christian business or a Christian radio station. So the first thing that I do is go out with a positive message to them, an encouraging message, a motivational message to them, engage them on a non-business related kind of meeting where it's just coffee. Let's just have coffee. And you see, what I like about Explore ProTech as well is you'll get advices. When I said to somebody, I want to get into the CEOs of companies where I can just get through and have a meeting with them. And they said to me, if you want to have coffee with them, send them a coffee mug with some cappuccino sticks in there and say, can we have coffee? I mean, that is very, very attractive. Who will not want to have coffee with somebody that sends them coffee? So you've got to be very, I don't want to say tricky, but you've got to be very pervasive. You've got to be you've got to think, how can I get in front of this person? And then when you're in front of them and you've sold yourself in whichever way, then you are able, it's easy for you to now sell what you are selling. And I sometimes, like in June, last month, I had a special. It was my birthday month, and I had a special. It was my birthday special. Okay, this month, because it's Women's Month, we've got a Women's Month special. Next month, it's Heritage Month. We're going to have a Heritage Month special. So you do that so that you are relevant with the seasons, with the times, so that it's not just I'm selling this, I'm selling that. Relate it to whatever is happening in the year, in the world, wherever it can be. So, I mean, one can have an AI special where we sell our social media spaces. Have a special for that. So there are various ways of doing it. So you just have to be to think. And as I said earlier, this space here will point at holes that, well, they'll open doors for you, which you can go into and look clever, because you've got the people's backing. So you go out there and you look clever because of everybody in this space.
No, totally. I love that. And it kind of comes back to the conversation we've been having regarding ethics. Your ethics about your values, and it comes back to, as well as, innovation and sustainability. Your business has got such a positive impact to the society and to the environment with what you do with your radio station. So kudos to you of being innovative, trying new ways to be and stay top of mind with this digitized world that we're living in. So what I'm coming back to is radio is not dead, people. Radio is not dead. Sommerville, what do you say?
Definitely not dead. I know we've been talking a lot about the radio station, but you also said you do business development. Could you perhaps expand on that and tell us a bit more about that?
How does one explain business? You develop business. No, my business development within Radio Pulpit is going out there and attracting the market so that we get leads, and the leads that I get, I share with the other sales representatives. Business development on the outside is where a business is struggling. They want to sell and they don't know what to do. That's why I come in and say, well, this is what you can do, and I'm not charging for that yet. This is what you can do. Let's try this. Let's try that, and we develop and grow the business in a way that the business owner feels that they have done it and not me. Because it doesn't have to be about me. It's got to be about the business owner, about the entrepreneur. And funny enough, you will say, and I used to say this when I came onto this platform, I'm not an entrepreneur. And Peter used to have a stick for my fingers all the time and said, you are. It's what you are doing that's entrepreneurial. So it's, let's help the entrepreneurs, let's support entrepreneurs out there for them to grow their businesses, because who said I'm going to be forever in Radio Pulpit? One of these days I will have my own business, and if you can look at my background, it'll say Litmok, Litmok. That's a business idea that I've got, and it's gonna come alive. So I'm helping entrepreneurs to grow their businesses, and by so doing, I'm also learning what to do when my business kicks off.
I love that. With the whole business development, you made me think of a joke. Can I tell it?
Of course.
So why did the business developer carry a ladder to the meeting? Because they heard the conversation was going to be on a higher level. And that is what you do, Lesetja, with your radio pulpit and, of course, your business development. You're putting people on a higher level and, of course, a different level with the way you think and the way you handle people. So, yeah, it's absolutely fantastic to have you here. I am so ecstatic that people love my joke. Thank you so much for laughing. You don't really have to. But Lesetja, thank you so much for sharing valuable insights with us today. To our awesome viewers and listeners, Lesetja, how can people actually get hold of you to have that coffee with a biscuit or whatever it is that you have with you? How do I get hold of you?
I do have biscuits. It's an easy one. 0828025833. It's a WhatsApp. Straight WhatsApp 0828025833. And yeah, we can set up a coffee chat.
What's up? Who remembers that? Anyway, I am now going back to saying thank you so much to everyone for listening. People, this is it for today. Stay awesome from all of us from the F-Biz show. Keep innovating, keep growing, and keep striving in everything that you do. Back to the Coffee Shop Conversation show, Sondra.
Thank you, Janine. You always bring a smile to my face. And yes, I definitely appreciate you guys and everything you guys do. There we go. I'm trying to like move people around. Thank you, Peter. Like I can't get people to move fast enough. Like all the buttons in the background. Love that, love it. I must have done something wrong because I didn't get any coffee biscuits when I met with him. So I'm sad. Maybe he doesn't send them to the United States. Maybe that's the issue. You got to be local to get coffee biscuits with him. I think. James, we're like, what a show. What do you think?
Very interesting. Yeah, it's one of those topics that you can go fairly deep in difference and see how some negative experiences have shaped people's outlooks on how they want to take their own businesses. And I think that it's, you learn from these experiences though, don't you? And ideally you build a business hopefully where you can just, at least for me, I want to be able to look myself in the mirror and not be disappointed in who I see. Yeah, slightly overweight possibly, but apart from that, not be disappointed that I've actually turned into a bad person. And if you run your business with integrity, then that's a good feeling, and hopefully one which the majority of people aspire to. So thank you very much for joining us again, everybody, this week. Lovely to hear from all of you, and I reckon we're all about to do the famous catchphrase, aren't you, Sondra?
Yes. We want to make sure we shout out Miss Susan, who does behind the scenes work, and she was joining us live on YouTube. And anybody else that joins us live on YouTube or the replay, make sure you comment, share, and like and follow us. We are here every Monday. And as amazing Nestine, co-owner of Explore ProTech, says, may all your wildest entrepreneurial dreams come true. Have a great week, everybody.
Have a great week. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.